Hello, world. Welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. Hello, world, and welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. We're broadcasting live from the Joy Virtual Studio right here in the beautiful Finger Lakes region of New York State. So great to be with all of you today. It is Tuesday, October 21st, and we have a big show lined up for the Joy audience today. You see the title of today's show, Under the Skin Surveillance. Bobby Kennedy Jr. and the GOP are fast tracking a biometric data heist of your body. Has Maha been hijacked by the tech bros? We have an exclusive presentation from our good friend, Aaron Day. He is an expert in crypto, technology, and privacy, and he's going to be joining us at the bottom of the hour. Also, tomorrow, we have a technocracy roundtable that is featuring Aaron Day plus Courtney Turner, who has been on the Shannon Joy Show, and of course, Patrick Wood. He is the founder and president of Technocracy, the website providing so much critical news about the new governing class, the global tech bros. And they have firmly ensconced themselves within this presidency here in the United States of America, but they're also making moves globally as well. All of the bad, scary things that we talk about on the show, that's tomorrow, Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And yes, we're going to be broadcasting the Technocracy Roundtable here on the Shannon Joy Show platform. So this network, of course, we're live today on Rumble. We're live on Twitter, Spreely TV, Roku TV, Apple TV, every podcast platform you can ever imagine. We're also on Facebook, YouTube, Substack, and many other platforms. We're going to be presenting the Technocracy Roundtable to all of you on the SJ network. And I do believe that Died Suddenly, we're going to have Ed Zoll is going to be included on a portion of that technocratic roundtable tomorrow. So it should be a great presentation. So make sure that you tune in right here live on my Rumble page. If you're watching on Rumble right now, please give us a thumbs up and a comment. It's great to see all of you. We are broadcasting live on the Died Suddenly platform as well. So if you're watching live on Died Suddenly on Twitter, welcome. Thank you for being here today. We have so much to talk about. For those of you on the live chat, it is great to see you. We have Brandon Bennett, a new face on the live chat. Great to see you, Brandon. And of course, the Rumble live chat, some of my favorite chatters out there. So intelligent, so friendly, so helpful, so funny. You guys all look great today. We have Chronozone 777 with us. Mav 2022, Be My Valentine. I'm so glad that you are back with us today on the show. And Brandon, thank you for your comment. Good to see you. We Are All Dead is with us. CJP Rumble, of course. You all enjoyed the show yesterday with Maria Z. She is a rock star. I want to encourage you to go back and look at some of the previous shows that we post here on the SJ channel, right on Rumble. A lot of great interviews. And we did talk about the expansion of digital IDs here in the United States of America, in the great state of Texas. That's where they are rolling this out. There's also a national plan to roll out the digital ID as well. Tragically, this is happening under a Republican administration, under Trump, and it is moving very quickly. Today, we are talking about a further expansion in surveillance. You know, you all recall that we reported here Bobby Kennedy Jr. on June 24th of 2025. And this is the quote: "My vision is that every American is wearing a wearable within 4 years." That is biometric surveillance. And that was Bobby Kennedy before the House Energy and Commerce Subcommittee on Health. So Maha, as you know, in the medical freedom community, and Bobby at HHS, they've made virtually zero progress regarding COVID era atrocities or the removal of the mRNA shots, or even an acknowledgement of those who have been injured in horrific ways by the mRNA technologies. They're still on the market. And in fact, they are expanding using technology and AI to expand the production and warp speed the production of over 500 new mRNA technologies that are in the hopper. And many of those are being fast tracked through the FDA. So we're not moving forward. We're actually going backwards. The liability protections for pharmaceutical corporations are still in place in every way conceivable. And we are, continuing to move backwards on that front. Instead, they seem to be intent on helping billionaires and technocrats expand the biometric and medical surveillance state, pitching these new technologies as the key to making America healthy again. This is the focus of tomorrow's Technocracy Roundtable. And today, as I mentioned, tech privacy expert Aaron Day will join us at right around 12:40 p.m. Eastern time right here to talk about the rapid expansion of the technocratic surveillance state under the skin and its infiltration of Maha. Aaron Day stated to me just a couple days ago, Maha has been hijacked by the tech bros. So we're going to be talking about that. Also, Trump is rug pulling again today. In this first segment, we are going to talk about his war, apparently, that he's waging on U.S. beef producers at this point, with an insane policy plan to bail out Argentina by importing beef products, in addition to sending taxpayer dollars that they are printing, which is contributing to inflation in the United States of America, but that's not stopping them. They're now going to send those dollars abroad to every other country. They're making Israel great again, making Ukraine great again, and now we're going to make Argentina great again with a bailout check, and also importing beef products, which will directly and negatively impact domestic beef producers. We have a plea from Merriweather Farms, one of the largest beef producers in the country, and I believe they were supporters of President Trump. It's an absolutely outrageous policy, and we have some video clips for that later in the program that we're going to look at. But how is this America first? I mean, these headlines, one after another from this president, it's completely arbitrary, capricious, unpredictable, chaotic. I don't even know how to come to you and give analysis these days. It's very difficult. I wake up some mornings and I don't even know what to say to all of you as a political analyst. And as you know, here on the Shannon Joy Show, we've been doing this for 12 years, launched the show 12 years ago. And it's interesting, when I first started the show, I actually had an opportunity. The very first radio program I ever did was actually called, I don't know if I've told this story before, it was called Styles with Shannon. I was working for a radio company, and I had this client, Continental School of Beauty. And in order to get the deal and bring them on as advertisers, I offered to do this little segment called Styles with Shannon. And so I would talk about, I'd go on with like the war. It was the Easy Rock, Easy Listening station, and they had this morning show. And so I would go on with the host of the morning show once a week and talk about hair and makeup and clothes and what's in, what's out, all the thing. It was a ridiculous little segment, but I kind of got the bug, right? Being behind the mic. And that's where everything started. Well, I had the opportunity to expand that at the station that I was at. And as I was figuring out what I wanted to do in terms of presenting, it was kind of like health and beauty or politics. Health and beauty or politics. And for whatever crazy reason, because I was interested in both, I picked politics and ended up quitting my job at that radio station and going to a very tiny little double wide trailer in a cornfield, an AM radio station. And that launched the Shannon Joy Show, which was an independent, nonpartisan political analysis show. And I've been kicking myself ever since, right? Like, why did I do that? Because these headlines, I thought I was going to get into this business. And actually, at the time, I was a Republican. I tore up my Republican card after about 2 years, after watching 2 cycles. And I'm like, this is complete BS. Like, these people are lying to us. This is all a fraud. This is a circus clown show. And, but I got into this business wanting to help people understand what was going on in politics, what was happening in the news, help people understand how it impacted their lives, and help people figure out how to navigate their lives, within this political system that has become more and more insane and corrupt every year that passes. I mean, I thought things were crazy 12 years ago, right? It only gets crazier and crazier and crazier. And the idea, I was talking to Sasha Latapova this morning, because every now and then I have to call her and vent, because these headlines are just insane. They're insane. I don't know. I got into this business thinking that we were going to do political analysis on a daily basis. And at this point, it's like asking a person to do political analysis on Pee Wee Herman's political playhouse. Nothing makes any sense. These two political parties are insane. And it's not just the Republicans. I mean, we had 4 years of Joe Biden, who was essentially a corpse that they propped up in front of podiums, in front of the Democrats for 4 years. Everyone knew he wasn't running things. It was tragic to watch, horrifying to watch. That's why we coined here on the Shannon Joy Show the weekend at Bernie's Biden presidency, because it was absurd. It was mocking the entire Democrat Party. Anyone who voted Democrat, could see that he wasn't running things, so it's insane on the left, but it's insane on the right as well. We have TMZ reporting earlier today that Donald Trump is considering pardoning Diddy, right? We have all of these new, like yesterday, Donald Trump from his official account is releasing AI videos and memes of driving a plane with a crown on his head, mocking the No Kings protests, and dropping feces all over the United States of America. Like insane, bizarre AI videos and memes. These tariff policies are insane. He's supposed to be America first and for the farmers. And then he just goes after them, saying that he's going to, we've been talking about placing tariffs on other countries who are importing into the United States of America. That's been like his whole thing, the whole shtick for the past 8 months, which is crushing American businesses, particularly small, medium-sized businesses. And now it's a complete 180. Not only is he not tariffing imports on beef from Argentina, he's actually taking business away from the producers here in the United States of America and handing it to a foreign country because he likes the president over in Argentina. It's insane. It's insane. And there's no way to analyze this. And I feel, I don't even know how people on CNN or Fox News, right-wing news media, left-wing news media, I don't know how they report with a straight face to people every day and even take this stuff seriously, because it's becoming more and more clear to me that this is theater. This is theater. Trump is not in control. He's playing a role, and it's getting more and more bizarre as each day passes. And meanwhile, the American people are suffering. It's just getting worse. Do you ever feel that way? Like, I don't know how you can analyze politics today without acknowledging that the people in Washington, D.C., and I would say 99% of the front-facing political actors are actors. They're not real. They're reality TV actors playing a role. And there's something going on behind the scenes, and clearly it's big, because they are shoving us right into World War III and into economic collapse. So clearly there's something happening. I mean, globally, just what's happening with gold right now and silver and the volatility in the stock market. Think about this. Donald Trump sends out one tweet and he can crash the stock market and then engage in insider trading and pump and dumps, which is enriching his family and all of his associates. It is corruption, blatant, right in our faces. Worse than anything that the Biden administration ever did, because at least Joe Biden and Hunter Biden had the decency to conduct the grift and the corruption and the pay to play and all of those horrible schemes in secret, right? At least they went over to Ukraine to launder their money. Trump is doing it right in front of our faces. Imagine this headline, and I can't believe that the government is shut down, by the way, continues to be shut down. People even forget it. The news cycle is so chaotic and moving so quickly that people forget that we're even in a shutdown. But this is insane to think about. Donald Trump is paying the military on October 15th of this year, or of this month. Donald Trump paid the entirety of the United States military with black budgets from the Department of Defense, not going through appropriations, not going through Congress, which is the constitutional, it is the law, right? We have no idea how the troops are being paid. And he intimated that it was from a donor, a private donor who had lots of money, who is now going to pay the United States military, which is the equivalent of a mercenary, privately paid police force or military force within the borders of the United States of America and acting abroad and acting outside of the Constitution. We're just living. It's beyond a banana republic. And then you have these guys. I swear, Trump puts out these headlines of pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell, pardoning Diddy Combs, standing up for the Tate brothers, right? It's almost as if they want us to know that the pedos are in charge, right? And there's nothing we can do about it, because that's the ultimate humiliation. That's the ultimate signal. They want us to know how bad they are. They want us to know that they cheat, they lie, they steal, they're corrupt, they're crushing our economy. Nothing makes sense. They take a 180 every other day and they're shoving it right in our faces. And Trump is doing it. This idea of dumping feces all over this country and the people of this country is so apropos, because that's how they feel. I get the sense that's how they really feel, and they want us to know it. I used to call them 12 years ago, 10 years ago, when I was describing the people in control that are usually behind the scenes, I would call them megalomaniac, control freak lunatics, which I thought was appropriate at the time. I've now changed my analysis to malignant, narcissistic psychopaths and sociopaths, because these people, they are wicked to the very core and acting in a very bizarre way. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I want to say hello to all of you on the live chat. But before we get to the live chat, I want to talk about one of our amazing sponsors through Rumble, an amazing partner of the Shannon Joy Show, Perfect Sleep Max. Right now, you can get free bottles of Perfect Sleep Max by going to perfectorigins.com/SJS-PSM. TJ is going to pop that URL right up in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show and also on the live chat. Just for the Joy audience, they are giving away free bottles of Perfect Sleep Max for those of you who, like me, might have trouble sleeping at night, giving the chaos of everything that is going on in the world today. I know you guys have been there. Your mind is racing. You can't turn it off. You're laying awake. You have to get up early in the morning. You have things to do, but you cannot fall asleep. There is nothing worse than that feeling. And I have been there along with all of you. Stress, anxiety, tight muscles, these things can shut down your body's natural sleep switch, and your mind and body are begging to relax, but you just can't get there and your brain just won't turn off. Well, enter Perfect Sleep Max from Perfect Origins. It's not just another melatonin pill. This one blends relaxation and sleep support from multiple angles with multiple great ingredients. So let's get started. What do they have? They have GABA. They have L-theanine. This helps quiet the mind and reduce stress without sedation. They also have L-dopa plus 5-HTP to promote dopamine and serotonin. This uplifts your mood and it supports your restful sleep. In addition, you have calm physical relaxation with the two big guys, melatonin and magnesium. This is going to relax your muscles and your nervous system. And then you have, of course, clean, non-GMO ingredients for focus, sleep support. So this product is going to help you fall asleep. It's going to help you stay asleep. And I know a lot of us deal with waking up in the middle of the night, but when you wake up, it's going to help you feel refreshed and lively and vibrant. So if you're having trouble sleep, this is a great way to get a good night's sleep. It is Perfect Sleep Max from Perfect Origins. And right now, they are giving away free bottles of Perfect Sleep Max for the Joy audience. Go to www.perfectorigins.com/SJS-PSM. Worst URL ever. I know it's clunky. We're going to pop that up in the live chat so that you guys can link right on it to find out how you can get that free bottle of Perfect Sleep Max. They're also giving 25% off if you want to purchase the product with that promo code JOY. So 25% off straight off the bat with the promo code JOY. Okay, we're going to go to a quick break. We're going to come back, say hello to all of you on the live chat, talk a little bit about some of the weird messaging themes that I'm seeing on the right. And then right around 12:40, 12:45, we're going to bring in Aaron Day, our special guest, to talk about what is going on with the expansion of the digital surveillance state. There's a lot happening, but the good news is more and more people are waking up to this. And that's what we're going to try to accomplish here today on the Shannon Joy Show. So keep it tuned right here. We'll be back in a minute on the SJ Show. Amazing product. Your blood's so important. It delivers oxygen to every aspect of your body, your brain, your heart, your lungs. And that oxygen, it is healing. It is life sustaining. It is absolutely necessary. If your blood isn't flowing properly, which so many Americans, because they've had multiple COVID shots, the spike protein, the mRNA technology, you name it. This is why we're having blood clotting. It is devastating. You have to make sure that your blood is flowing. And that is the mission of the folks over at Blood Flow 7. You take it every day. It's a patented formula, and it works by boosting the body's nitric oxide, NO, levels up to 230%, and also opening the arteries up to 62% to improve your blood flow through your body and deliver that oxygen. In fact, we had David Knight on the Shannon Joy Show a couple days ago, and he was singing the praises of this type of product. He doesn't use Blood Flow 7, but he does use a product like this that boosts nitric oxide. If you have a family member or a loved one who has heart issues, heart conditions, if you have a family member or a loved one who was injured by COVID vaccines or COVID itself, blood clotting, any of those issues, this is the type of product that you want them to be on and that you want to be on yourself. So bloodflow7.com/joy. That's bloodflow7.com/joy. Right now, 25% off. This is a limited time offer. You also get free shipping. You can peruse their 5,000 five-star reviews. It's a great product. So once again, bloodflow7.com/joy. It's number 7, bloodflow7.com/joy.
This is Jennifer with darkbags.com. I wanted to show you one of our newest products from Escape Zone. This is our satellite Faraday sleeve. So it actually will fit your satellite phone, which we've noticed that there wasn't any product on the market that perfectly fit them, so we decided to make them ourselves. And it has this Velcro closure right here to close it up, and that makes this dust and water resistant. So what's nice about this Faraday pouch is that it'll protect against any EMPs. So your emergency device actually will always be protected in here as long as it stays in here. You can take it out for everyday use, but if you're not using it, we recommend that you store it in here. Again, this is available on darkbags.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. Let's hit up the live. Say hello to Mark the Regan is with us on the live chat. You look great, Mark. Good to see you. Ralph, the Flying Dutchman, is with us on the live chat. Don't frag me, bro. Great to see you. Chronozone 777. Let's go to some of your comments. And I thought this one was interesting. Where are we here? Let me see. Yeah, MAV 2022 is with us as well. And you guys have some comments here. There was one that I wanted to find that I'm losing right now. Darn it all. Maybe they better implement the unit. Yeah. Well, I see you guys are talking about the vaccines. Yeah, they're rolling out vaccines for pets. People are worried about those vaccines then shedding onto humans. I mean, yeah, the vaccine industry, I think maybe they are focusing on pushing it out to pets right now because so many humans are refusing vaccines, which is really great news. Chronozone 777 is with us with comments. Yeah. What was I looking for? I was looking for, the Genius Act. That's what it is. CJP Rumble. If someone can I remember talking about the Genius Act, but I can't grab it right now. But some are saying that it is going to be used to usher in the Great Reset and digital ID. And if someone can just pop up a quick overview for the Genius Act in there. Yes, Kelly McCarty, I see you on the live chat. Besant is definitely a Soros guy. I have a video from Besant that we're going to look at in just a minute. But I'm noticing some themes. Let's get into some of the news items of the day. I don't know if you guys are noticing this. Good to see you, Ranger 1791, Sleeping Giant 111. You look great as well. I'm noticing some messaging themes on the right. There are a few. The first is, and I just noticed over the past couple days, some of the big talkers like Alex Jones and Steve Bannon, and more of the platformed Bizarro Con Inc. commentators are moving quickly into analysis on the 2028 presidential election and who they're going to support to run for that presidential contest. So Alex Jones came out and said, I know that everyone is saying it has to be JD Vance, but I'm going to get behind RFK Jr. in this kind of weird post. He makes these strange posts all the time. You now have Steve Bannon getting in the game, and everyone's kind of picking their people, right? Was it going to be Tom Massey or Ron DeSantis or Rand Paul or RFK Jr. or JD Vance? And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? We have a disaster. I mean, a flaming train driven by a drunken conductor heading off a cliff in terms of our economy, what is happening with the expansion of the technocratic police state, the police state in and of itself, and also World War III. And these guys want to distract their entire audiences to a contest that is happening 3 years from now. Like, you can't find anything to report on besides mocking libtards and mocking everyone who came out to protest on No King's Day on Saturday. Like, there's no analysis about the debt, the deficit, the budgets, the lockdowns, the tariffs, the impact on small businesses, the farmers, the soybean farmers, regular American families, kids who can't buy a house, inflation. I mean, there is so much here for fiscal conservatives and Republicans to report on. They can't report on any of it because all of it is bad. So now they're reverting to a tried and true distraction tactic, which is let's obsess ad nauseum over a primary that is going to happen in 3 years. And they're putting the banners on, and I'm not here for it. I'm not going to speak about that until a month before it happens. But this is how they distract you. This is how, these are the squirrels and the shiny objects that they use to distract their audiences from the nightmare, the abomination of desolation that we are witnessing in this country today, right? And the right can't report on this. So they're going to find anything else they can possibly jump to. That is one of the weird messaging themes I'm seeing on the right. The other thing I'm seeing is this weird now expansion of, it's like this Judeo-Christian nationalist cult. It's bizarro Christianity. There's no rooting. And I see you, Bill Benz. I agree that there is a demonic element to some of this. I'm not kidding. I believe it. But it's this weird bastardization and inversion of Christianity and Judaism, the Old Testament and the New Testament. I know this because I'm a gal who has read both multiple times. But it's a highly political, highly nationalistic, and monetized version of Christianity. And we saw it ramp up to exponential levels after the Charlie Kirk assassination. Tragically, the widow of Charlie Kirk raising tens of millions of dollars on the death of her husband, which was indeed tragic. But the politics that we saw after that, the political nature of the memorial service, the explosions, the fireworks, it was just all very, very weird. But some of it is completely blasphemous. And that was last week. Last week, I didn't get a chance to play these video clips for you, but it is taking a very, very dark turn. Again, we're talking about the complete inversion of Judeo-Christianity, a new type of Christian nationalism that I think personally is demonic. And when you see these two videos last week, they made their way on Twitter, and I want to make sure that I run them for you so that people can be alerted to this. I'm devastated by so many of my Christian friends and people who I've known for years and years who are being sucked into this, the Christification of Charlie Kirk, the deification of Charlie Kirk, holding him up as like a Christ figure. It is very, very troublesome. And I want to make sure that we address it here on the program, today, because I agree. Ranger 1791, very cringy. Incredibly cringy. But this was, let's look at these two clips because it's taken an even darker turn. This is a guy named Rabbi Shmuley. And Rabbi Shmuley is pretty famous. He's a famous Jewish rabbi, close associate, and advisor, I think, of Donald Trump in all of the MAGA circles. So you've seen him all over the different MAGA platforms and conservative platforms. He has said that President Trump is the most pro-Israel president in U.S. history, and he absolutely pushes the U.S. involvement in Israel and in Israel's wars. And yeah, CJP Rumble, Beck is acting extremely bizarre about Kirk, like crazy town. Oh gosh, I would love to see some of those videos. But TJ, let's run the Rabbi Shmuley video, just the end, like the last minute and a half or so of it. He was posted it last week, and he starts out with some type of I don't know, it's like a story or a narrative. And at the end, he's talking about, and it's not biblical, but it's like some kind of lesson to be learned. And he's telling this ridiculous story. But this is what he said at the end. And as a Jewish person, he's supposed to be a Jewish rabbi, I was really taken aback by this statement. Go ahead and run that video, and then we'll go to the Eric Trump video after that.
This is what's going to happen. And Rabbi Yitzchak said, and I looked up to God and I said,
get that volume?
Lord, Master of the universe, he who fills the infinite expanse of space, you're correct. My community is highly imperfect. Some did commit adultery, some did steal, some did gossip, some did envy, some did fail to honor the Sabbath, it's all true. He said, but not one of them made a woman a widow this year, but you did, O Lord. Not one of them made a child an orphan this year, but you did, O Lord. Not one of them allowed a massacre of the Jewish people in this community, in Russia, in Belarus, in Lithuania, but you did, O Lord. If you forgive us for our tiny infractions, our tiny sins, we will forgive you for your great ones. I hope this will be a year of tshuva for all of us before God, and I hope that God will also restore his love for the Jewish people, which is always there, it's always constant, but it has to be in a manifest way. God bless you all, and Shana Tova M'tuka.
Unbelievable. Did you guys pick up on that? If you forgive us, O Lord, for our tiny infractions, we will forgive you for the atrocities that you have committed. So that is a rabbi, a Jewish rabbi, condemning God and encouraging the people to forgive God for his sins against the people. So that is not Judaism. I'm telling you, as a girl, like this whole we need to forgive God is something that does not exist anywhere in the Old Testament in any way, shape, or form. But this guy enjoys an enormous amount of power and influence. He's connected to the Trump administration. But that is highly blasphemous. And I don't know that I've ever heard. That sounds like something an atheist would say, right? Like condemning nature's God and forgiving God. It's just insane. This was from Eric Trump. If you thought that was weird, this came from Eric Trump. He's promoting his book, and he goes on with Benny Johnson, another Con Inc. conservative platformer with a huge platform. And this is what Eric Trump said in that interview on the heels of the statement that came from Rabbi Shmuley. Let's run that tape, TJ, so people can hear.
Destroy us. And yet here we are, and we have this amazing peace, deal on Charlie Kirk's birthday. I can't tell you how many things are lining up. Think about the fact that this book came out on Charlie Kirk's birthday, on the same day as we have peace in the Middle East. So many different factors are all coming together at once in the most unthinkable, unbelievable journey. You couldn't have scripted this. You could not, the wildest author could not have scripted this book and the trials and tribulations and twists and turns to get to where we are today. And look how much better humanity and our world is. We're saving Christianity. We're saving God. We're saving the family unit. We're saving this nation. DEI is out the window, Benny. You no longer have Colin Kaepernick kneeling for the national anthem. You no longer have a Budweiser going woke as hell, or all of this is dead. And yet, what do we have? We have a return to people going to church. We have a return to people, valuing their children and valuing society and believing in the white picket fence and what the American dream represents and what the American dream stands for, and American exceptionalism and peace around the world, and that people can coexist with one another without having to pick up arms and destroy each other for no reason whatsoever, other than incompetent and egotistical governments. It's a beautiful time, and he will go to heaven for all of that. God absolutely guided this journey in ways that you'll learn in Under Siege. It's a big part of the story, but he was there the entire time.
So in that clip, is that the "we saved God"? Like he said in that clip, we saved God, we saved the church, we saved the country. And I don't know, that is just absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. And so Eric Trump is saying that we saved Christianity, we saved God, we saved, and Benny Johnson looking completely creepy and gross, but absolutely blasphemous, on the heels of Rabbi Shmuley saying that that God should be asking us for forgiveness, which is just insane, absolutely insane. And so this is, very bizarre twisting and turning of Christianity. And it's something that has been on my mind and very concerning to me over the past week. And so we're going to keep an eye on this. But I don't know. Yeah, LT Oracle of Truth. Oh my gosh, Rabbi Shmuley has a sex toy business with his daughter. That's horrifying. That's absolutely horrifying. These people are weird. They are. I'm telling you. This is what makes it so difficult to analyze the news. These people we're dealing with absolutely crazy people. Trump RX is going to be worth billions, says Chronozone 777, in terms of the corruption. I agree with you. Barron Trump is a crypto guru. He has made millions upon millions of dollars. And I see over $1 billion. The Trump family has made, I want to say it's closer to 5 billion in just the past 8 months. I mean, it's absolute corruption. It's absolutely blasphemous. It is the antithesis of Christianity and what I know Christianity to be, and also the Judeo-Christian ethic, as evidenced by the statements from Eric Trump and Shmuley. Eric Trump saying that we saved God, that's the quote on Benny Johnson, and Shmuley saying, imploring for people to forgive God. It's just crazy. And so this is why we need to keep an eye on what's going on with the technocracy, because, extension of the demonic, I think, is this anti-human movement, which is the technocracy. And we're going to bring in Aaron Day right after the break to continue this discussion. So hopefully he is with us and ready to go, because they're pushing and fast tracking and moving at a breakneck pace. And more people are waking up to the digital surveillance state, which is an amazing thing. But we need to wake more people up. We need a critical mass. And that is why they're putting together the Technocracy Roundtable discussion tomorrow, live 6 p.m. Eastern time. You can watch it on technocracy.news, but you can also watch it right here on the SJ Network. We're going to be live streaming that to all of you. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to bring in Aaron Day and continue this discussion. You saw the headline for today: under the skin surveillance. Bobby Kennedy Jr. and the GOP are fast tracking a biometric data heist, and he believes that Maha has been hijacked. It is dystopian. It is anti-nature. It is anti-God and anti-human, all of the things. And it is coming at us like a freight train. We'll be back to discuss this in just a moment right here on The Shannon Joy Show. You might want to consider checking out RocketDollar. Go to www.rocketdollar.com/ShannonJoy, and you can get an IRA information packet. You can start investing as soon as your account is funded. And with the self-directed IRA, you can invest in a variety of alternative assets outside of what many believe is a corrupt and bloated, inflated stock market dominated predominantly by the tech companies. So you can invest in real estate in your own backyard, right? In your own community. You can invest in private equity or a startup, even precious metals, gold and silver. They have the self-directed gold and silver backed IRAs, which is real gold and silver that is funded through your IRA. These are all ways for you to use your IRA accounts to your benefit and stop partnering with the federal government. So go to rocketdollar.com/ShannonJoy. That is rocketdollar.com/ShannonJoy. We are so thankful for our sponsors here on the Shannon Joy Show. And one of our most amazing sponsors are the folks over at Brightcore. Please go to mybrightcore.com/joy. That's mybrightcore.com/joy. They want all of you to try an amazing product called Kimchi. It can also help you with post-vaccination resilience. So this is from their website, and I thought this was amazing. As you know, we'll talk to Dr. Makis about this on Wednesday when he comes in, but spike proteins are now recognized as a leading cause of vaccine injury. mRNA vaccines instruct your cells to produce these harmless proteins so that the immune system can build defenses. But research is now showing that the spike proteins interact with blood vessel linings and platelets, driving clotting and inflammation. This is no longer theoretical. Evidence is confirming now widespread harms affecting millions who are unaware of this connection. Researchers have also found that the gut microbial balance strongly influences inflammation, immune resilience, and recovery after vaccination. Their conclusion, here it is: the best way to build resilience is by increasing microbial diversity and a balanced gut. 85% good gut bacteria to 15% bad. And you can get this through powerful probiotics, such as kimchi. You can now not only get a free bottle for the Joy audience of vitamin D3 with your purchase, but you can get 50% off your kimchi. Go to mybrightcore.com/joy right now. That is mybrightcore.com/joy to check out their amazing offer. I do want to shout out one of our amazing sponsors over at Relief Band. So this product has been an absolute game changer for my family and my daughter, Mimi. We do a lot of traveling. She is a beach volleyball player. She's going to go play Division I beach volleyball down in the great state of Tennessee, which is super exciting, but we are in the car all the time. And the poor girl has struggled with severe nausea and headaches and car sickness her entire life, ever since she was a tiny little baby. She would get sick 15 minutes in the car, and it's just made for some really difficult traveling. Well, Relief Band, it's been a game changer. It's been an absolute miracle. Right now, we have an exclusive offer for the Joy audience and for Shannon Joy Show listeners on the podcast. If you go to reliefband.com, that's reliefband.com right now, use the promo code JOY and you will receive 20% off plus free shipping. So it's Relief Band, ReliefBand.com, and use the promo code JOY for 20% off plus free shipping. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. Before we get to Aaron Day, I just want to tell you a little bit about my financial advisor. He's been with me for over 15 years, Don Polano of PCM and Associates. As you all know, my philosophy on investing is all of the above. So you know I'm hugely bullish on gold and silver, physical gold and silver, and also the gold and silver IRA. I also love real estate, which I can't get into right now because it's too overpriced. So that's kind of a bummer. But I also have money in the stock market, the good old traditional stock market. Now, right now, I am not in tech stocks at all whatsoever. I have very, very boring stocks and some international. And this is what I love about Don Polano is that he knows, he respects my belief system. He shares my belief system. And for what I do have in the stock market, in those investments for my retirement, he takes great care of me. So as you guys know, I am in super, super boring stocks right now, but Dom has an amazing financial firm. He helps people all over the country and the world. And he is taking on clients, opening it up to all of you. So if you go to 1-800, if you call 1-800-536-1368, that is 1-800-536-1368. You can talk to Dom and get started. If you are unsure of the politics of your financial advisor, or if you're a little jittery about the stock market right now and you want to move some things around, he is your guy. You can also go to pcmpolano.com to learn more about him. That is pcmpolano.com. It is wonderful to have a financial analyst and advisor who shares my values. And that's Don Polano. He's also an amazing friend of the Shannon Joy Show. He was the very first advertiser ever of the Shannon Joy Show. He helped get this show started and is one of my very, very favorite sponsors. So make sure you tell Dom I said hello. He'll take amazing care of you. Again, the number 1-800-536-1368. Without further ado, let's welcome into the Joy Virtual Studio, Aaron Day. He is a privacy expert, a crypto expert, a tech expert, one of our regular guests here in the Shannon Joy Show, and he will be featured on the panel tomorrow. It is the Technocracy Roundtable featuring Aaron Day, Patrick Wood, Courtney Turner, among others. It's going to be on technocracy.news, but also featured on the SJ Network. Aaron, thank you for being patient. Glad that you could join us today. You have a lot to talk about. There is a lot happening. They are ramping up this expansion of the technocracy. I call them techno-fascists. But we're also seeing, Aaron, people beginning to realize the circular nature of the investments. NVIDIA is being exposed. OpenAI is being exposed. People are getting less confident, less bullish about AI. Maybe it is not all it's cracked up to be. So a lot of it looks like a shell game, and it looks as if that bubble might just pop. That doesn't mean they can't hurt a lot of people in the meantime as they try to expand the surveillance state using technology, digital ID, and digital currency. You're an expert on all of these things. Let me hand the show over to you for a little while to give the audience your analysis of where we are right now and where we're going to be going in the next 6 to 12 months so that people can get prepared and be prepared to say no, because I think they're going to ramp up that digital ID push in an extraordinary fashion. So welcome. Glad you're here.
Oh, thanks for having me back. It's always great to be on the show. And yeah, it's been a while. There's so much going on. It's mind numbing to kind of wrap your brain around. Yeah. My argument is that I think technocracy has advanced about 5 years since Trump won the election. Yeah. And I think 2030 is going to happen probably by 2028. And it's really hard to actually keep up with all of the developments because I spend half of my time tracking technocracy and then the other half trying to build solutions and trying to work on parallel systems. And just as a high level summary of what's happened, one, on the digital ID front, you know, I've noticed people will sit there and say, oh, look at how bad it is in the UK. And, you know, they're going to mandate a digital ID and you won't be able to work unless you have a digital ID by 2029. Meanwhile, people aren't realizing that many people in the US, over half of Americans, already have a digital ID. We passed Real ID, which is digital in 11 states. They're adding 20 more states by the end of this year. So we're actually way ahead of the UK in terms of digital ID adoption. And people just blindly signed up for it. And the funny thing about
Can you explain Real ID to people? Because there's a lot of confusion. People don't think they have a digital ID. Now it doesn't have the biometric, maybe it does, but can you explain that to people about Real ID and how they snuck it in?
Well, the way that they snuck it in is, and this goes all the way back to 9/11, but in 2005, they actually snuck the Real ID bill into an emergency spending bill about tsunami relief. I mean, this is a classic Congress move, right? So they just added this on, bolted this Real ID on top of something in an emergency, and nobody was paying attention. So this was 2005. Well, it took until, you know, this year, it took 20 years for them to finally pull the trigger. Early on, there was big resistance, I believe, from Missouri or a couple of other states. And at one point, there were 24 states united against Real ID. And this is a big point that I actually want to make, because a lot of people are like, oh yeah, let's fight government at the state level. Well, if you had 24 states opposing Real ID, why do we have Real ID? The answer is COVID and COVID funding. So the federal government used funding strings tied to COVID as leverage to push a number of these states into Real ID. New Hampshire was one of the big holdouts for a long time. It used to be something that free staters in New Hampshire celebrated as one of our big wins, but when they reversed it, no one ever talked about it. In fact, it happened somewhat quietly, I think, in 2017. So all of a sudden, gradually, your Real ID, not just the base level information you need when you're renewing your driver's license. But the thing is, this is connected to a broader database, a database that now Palantir is expanding to connect all of the data on each of us across all of the departments of the federal government. And now in 11 states, it is already digital, where people are using it with their Google Wallet and their Apple Wallet. And now, as I mentioned earlier, this is expanding to 20 more states. And so the problem with this is I see in my feed all the time, oh, we don't want digital ID in the United States. And some of these people that are against it have a Real ID. Like, this is how far removed we are from how bad the situation is here and how quickly it's accelerating. Now, I have focused primarily on CBDCs and digital currencies and surveillance currencies as my main area, but I certainly I look at the broader picture of technocracy. Well, when the UK announced what they announced, where Starmer basically said, we're going to implement a digital ID and we don't care what the people think and we don't care what Parliament thinks. That started to bring digital ID back into the spotlight. It's not the worst thing going on globally with respect to digital IDs. A few weeks earlier, 17 countries signed into law digital IDs, which will be rolled out by either 2026 or early 2027. I believe countries covering 3 billion people. And the thing is, the laws that were written were all the same laws. The technology vendors involved in the rollout of the digital ID are the same 3 technology vendors, and they used a common PR firm to roll out the messaging around it. So people are sitting around, oh, we defeated I see Alex Jones, we defeated the globalists. They just signed a digital ID into law for 3 billion people, and no one noticed. But here's the other one that's even more alarming. By Q1 of next year in Mexico, everyone in the country is required to have a digital ID tied to a QR code, tied to biometrics, and employers will be used to enforce the digital ID. So if an employer is found not to be verifying the digital ID of their employees, they will be immediately shut down. So literally right across the border. And who would have thought that Mexico would, by early 2026, have a complete digital ID tied to a QR code? So that's how quickly things are moving just on the digital ID front, which is only one small part of it. I actually think one of the biggest areas, and what we're going to be talking about on this Technocracy Roundtable tomorrow, is what's going on with AI and healthcare. Now, I will say I'm pro AI, I'm pro technology. Again, to me, technology, well, with all of these things, there's a freedom element to it, there's a tyranny element to it. But I assure you what's being pushed and what's gaining traction is the tyranny aspect of it. And this is happening in a big way with healthcare. So one of the things that I've found to be very frustrating is that, I've been a political activist for 20 years, and the medical freedom community has been they've been some of the strongest advocates, not just on medical freedom, but on other issues kind of related to medical freedom. And they've essentially been silenced. I think their hope has been hijacked. And so people are so busy focusing on, oh, look at these great little concessions that we're getting on vaccines, not realizing they're ushering in AI into healthcare. And I will tell you, if what you're giving up is children's DNA being collected centrally by the federal government, where AI is being implemented across the healthcare system to set scores for people and determine what access you get to healthcare, where we're talking about implementing wearables within 4 years, that is the opposite of medical freedom. And by the way, it's even worse than vaccines, because what is tied into this AI system, as Larry Ellison has discussed in part of his Operation Stargate project that he's working on with Sam Altman from OpenAI, they want to do targeted mRNA treatment. But when you look at and you dig under the hood at what this infrastructure is like, it is the complete centralization of healthcare data by the federal government. Palantir is all over all of this. Palantir is probably the biggest player in terms of consolidating all of this information, and it's happening right now. So no, medical freedom is not winning. We're getting absolutely crushed, and people have been once again distracted by, the vaccine issue is a big issue, but the vaccine issue actually pales in comparison to what they're putting in place with respect to AI infrastructure for healthcare.
There has been no win for vaccines. They haven't rolled back any mRNA vaccines. They are fast tracking new mRNA technologies, and they are expanding the infrastructure to use AI to come up with universal vaccines and to create new mRNA vaccines. So I don't even, this is a big problem, Aaron, because the entirety of the movement is impotent, quiet. And you mentioned that they're anesthetized by hope. It's a false hope. And Bobby Kennedy Jr. is at the tip of the spear in terms of pushing forward. He was the one that made the statement about the wearables and the collection of data. So you're saying that this new infrastructure being built is essentially going to catalog and collect data on every human, every child, DNA data that will then go into a database. The numbers will be crunched and AI will determine whether or not you get healthcare, whether or not you can receive certain treatments. I mean, there could be a whole host of, I mean, if they have information, and that's not even to say that it's accurate information, correct information, it's even being processed properly. I mean, we've seen how clunky AI can be. Like, it really is not nearly as advanced, I think, as people were pitching it to be. In fact, it's almost laughable. And this is one of the reasons that I'm thankful that the wheels are falling off the jalopy. People are figuring out that the AI bubble is very real, that the technology is not nearly as good as they say that it is. But to your point, they can hurt a lot of people in the meantime by injecting them with technologies, creating new vaccines, using AI, where, I mean, I can't even imagine how bad those things will be. But also, I mean, this idea of Bobby Kennedy saying that we're going to have wearables on every American in 4 years. I mean, that is the federal government, Palantir, not even the federal government, operating under the constraints and the boundaries of the Constitution and separation of powers and the law, right? It is the federal government contracting out to Palantir, who probably has liability protections now because they're doing it under an emergency order, right? So when you have an emergency declaration, if this is using funding from COVID era, then there's no liability. And so you have Palantir then going in and having potentially access to every American's blood pressure, heart rate. I mean, things happening within their body if it's being cataloged, and that's all going to go through private partnerships as well, right? So this is when I talk about techno-fascism, it's not just the technology and the mindset, it's also the merging, the unholy alliance and the merging of the corporate state and the government, right? And there's no separation there. So, this is all very troubling. And then who is held accountable when AI makes a horrible decision and denies you your blood pressure medication, or denies you the hip replacement surgery, or denies you something that you need because of aspects of other data that they have? Maybe they can tell you're a smoker. Maybe they can tell that you have 2 drinks a night and your liver isn't doing great. Like, there are all kinds of things that they can do to control and corral the American people and abuse the American people if they have this data. But you're saying they already have it, or they're about to have it, and the infrastructure is being put together.
Yeah, the infrastructure has been put together. And honestly, so the one thing I want to make clear up front is we don't have a market-based healthcare system. We haven't since Rockefeller. And then during World War II, when insurance was tied to employment, because we basically had wage freezes, and so employers, in order to attract employees, since they couldn't change how much they paid, they were able to offer insurance. Right. And this is why this is all tied to it. That was the beginning of the end, because at that moment in time, post World War II, the consumer, because I don't like to use the word patient. I don't even like the paternalistic doctor patient. We're individuals, and all that matters is our own health. Well, we were taken out of the direct equation. It moved completely to third-party funding at that point with the interjection of health insurance through employment. And then in 1965, you had Medicare and Medicaid brought on board. And so now we're at a point where half of all healthcare spending is paid for by the government. So why is this going on? If you look at the budget, the largest part of our budget issue isn't the $37 trillion worth of debt. It's I don't even know what it is now, $200 trillion worth of unfunded liabilities. And the biggest part of these unfunded liabilities is healthcare. So the funny thing is, I remember growing up, people would complain about Canada being a single payer system and worrying about rationing. This AI system is the ultimate form of rationing. This is a situation where people are realizing our Ponzi healthcare system, the bills coming due, we're at that level in the Ponzi scheme where there's not enough in to pay for it. And so now they're trying to act like this is innovation and efficiency. But in the end, it is the ultimate form of rationing and using essentially a social credit system to determine who has access to care at all. And again, this isn't a far-fetched thing that's going to happen in the future. When you look at the Operation Stargate, which again is Larry Ellison and Sam Altman, I mean, this is something that'll centralize healthcare data under one system. It's going to be designed to predict future health costs. There'll actually be a score that determines your value to society. And by the way, if you want a horror show, research bioethics and watch what those people talk about at conferences. They already have formulas and their own vocabulary for determining what a human life is worth. This is the level to which, and this has not, and by the way, this is 20 years ago. This isn't even new. This is actually something, quality justified. They have a whole vocabulary and formulas for determining, who should get what level of care. Palantir is all over this. Palantir already runs the data backbone for NIH, CDC, HHS, and major hospitals. Palantir Foundry runs ARPA-H, which is Biden's health DARPA. They control NIH research data. They manage hospital systems like Tampa General and Cleveland Clinic. So this is Pentagon health data plus civilian health data merged today, not in the future. This already is happening, right? So then when Trump comes out and says we're going to build a database of Americans, the database of Americans isn't just, this certainly wasn't innocuous when Doge said, well, we're going to connect Palantir to Americans' IRS data. But the IRS data is just the tip of the iceberg. It's literally everything, including all of your health data. Because once you realize that the U.S. government is paying for half of Americans' health care, that now you're seeing the kind of data that's going to come in. So these HIPAA laws and all of these other things don't protect you from anything. The people that you actually don't want to have your healthcare data are the ones that have access to your healthcare data. AI is just going to accelerate the rationing of healthcare on a massive scale.
They're certainly going to try to do this. Our mission is to stop them, Aaron Day, to exit and build. That is one of my favorite statements of Aaron Day. A lot of this is already in place. It doesn't mean that you have to submit to it. And if you have submitted to it, which, by the way, I have myself, I unwittingly, stupidly got a real ID in New York State. Did not know that was a digital ID. So I now have to walk that back. In fact, Aaron, I tried to get rid of my real ID. I tried to find a human being at the DMV in New York State and ended up being on hold for like 4 hours. So I'm literally going to have to get into my car, go to a DMV and figure out how to get a good old fashioned license in New York State, which, by the way, you can get. It's possible to do that. And there are some great resources for those of you who have a digital ID. There are great resources out there. If I can rustle them up in the next break, I will, that can show you exactly whether or not you have a digital ID through a real ID, number one, but also how you can retroactively go back, get rid of it, and get a good old-fashioned ID. So I'll find those for you. But, your philosophy here is exit and build. It is to resist as much as you possibly can. And I will tell all of you, we don't need every American to resist. You really just need, we learned this from COVID and the vaccines, you only need a small minority, but a very committed minority, to refuse to comply. And then very often what happens is the entire infrastructure falls apart because they need 100% compliance. They need everybody in order for them to make this work. Now, Aaron, I want to ask you this question because something really stood out to me. And I would like to use a video that I actually already pulled up that I was going to use today to start off this discussion about the connection between this big problem of unfunded liabilities, the trillions and trillions, hundreds of trillions of dollars that the government owes the people in terms of healthcare, Social Security, retirement, pensions, the big economic and financial crisis that is looming, right? And a government who has lied to their people for the past 70 years. They've debased our dollar. They've, devalued our dollar. They've lied to us. They're corrupt. We know all of the things. But how that links into healthcare and data, having data about healthcare, and how this could lead to something very, very horrifying in terms of governments culling their own populations, right? Because one of the ways to get out of this pickle is to just take out a few million Americans, maybe more, especially ones who, don't fit nicely on the complete lives theory bar chart that Ezekiel Emanuel put out, which really, to your point, values each life and, you know, how valuable are you to society. It's all very eugenics laden. But this is from Scott Bessent, the U.S. Secretary of Treasury, because I really want to connect these two things, the finance and the healthcare and the technocracy, because it's important. This is what he had to say about the tariffs and the taxes, but it was his last statement that really stuck out to me and made things very concerning in the near future. This is why we need everyone on high alert. We need to get the medical freedom movement back. We need to wrestle it away from Maha. We need to wrestle conservatism and libertarianism away from MAGA. We need to get people's heads on straight, because they're going to move fast in this, and they're probably going to use another emergency declaration. But this is what Scott Bessent had to say in that tariff discussion. It's a 1-minute clip. We're going to play that, and I want to get your response in just a second. So go ahead, TJ. Could you please run that for us?
Are the president's tariffs not taxes on imported goods?
That's easy, because tariffs are a surcharge, not a tax. They could be paid by the exporter. They could be paid by the country. When you go and get your driver's license, you pay a fee. Is that a tax? Is it a tax?
I'm asking you a question, sir. And I just appreciate the answer to it. Thank you.
And if we, well, I'm giving you an answer that maybe you don't like. The other thing is, this case, and Ambassador Jameson is a lawyer. I'm not.
As am I. Thank you.
I won't tell you the one thing I agreed with Lennon on. I think that we see with this Chinese provocation why it is very important for the president to have emergency powers to implement tariffs.
Okay. Very important for the president to have emergency powers to implement tariffs. Another emergency declaration. By the way, why does Scott Bessent look like a Marvel comic book villain? I mean, the guy is hostile, rude, arrogant, dismissive, but I found it interesting that he wanted to go straight to emergency powers. Why do you want to go to emergency powers? Well, because then you can act outside of the Constitution of the United States of America. You can essentially do anything to the people without any liability whatsoever, including the private partners that you engage with. So here's my question for you. If they declare an emergency, right? An economic emergency, that they say gives the president special powers for tariffs. I mean, couldn't they then say, well, because we have an economic emergency, the government can do anything and everything they need to do, very similar to COVID and the lockdowns, locking people in hospitals, all of the mechanisms to kill millions of Americans with hospital protocols like that no one will ever be held accountable for, right? Because they were under an emergency declaration and they had protections built into that. Like, doesn't this set us up for, well, in order to solve the economic crisis, well, maybe we have to take extraordinary actions and, I don't know, call a certain number of the American people and do it through an injection or whatever. I mean, it seems insane to say, Aaron, but I think we're being governed by lunatics and psychopaths that would actually do things like that, given what we saw during COVID era. Your thoughts?
Well, we're being governed by puppets. The people that are actually pulling the strings are the technocrats. And the thing to understand this is, I've done a lot of research and a podcast on Curtis Yarvin. People need to understand who Curtis Yarvin is. He's the Yuval Noah Harari of the right, but he has openly, publicly called for the United States to move towards basically having a monarch or a CEO or a dictator, but basically has stated that monarchy is vastly superior to democracy. Now, first of all, obviously, as your audience knows, we don't have a democracy. At least we're not supposed to be structured as a democracy. It's supposed to be a constitutional republic. But this is the argument that he's making. And he has held debates where he has taken the position and he's written about the fact that we need a monarch. And by the way, he has influenced Peter Thiel. He has influenced J.D. Vance. He has influenced Elon Musk. This is what this whole dark enlightenment movement is about. Now, by the way, some of the ideas aren't bad. Like some of the justification for it, Yarvin has a program called RAGE, Retire All Government Employees. So part of the way this has been positioned is, well, we need to fix the deep state. We need to fix the administrative state. And the way to do that is to give the executive branch more power, because we're not even supposed to have this fourth branch of government. There isn't supposed to be an administrative state. It's not even in the Constitution. So a lot of people, a lot of our friends, a lot of people in the medical freedom movement have joined on board with this idea of, yeah, we need to reduce the bureaucracy. And so this is why a lot of people got behind Doge. What they don't understand is that they're right. Actually helping. The point isn't to shrink the role of government. The point is to create a temporary monarchy as a bridge to technocracy. So we have a lot of our friends are out there thinking they're the good guys helping to peel back the size of government. What they don't realize is they're being complicit in ushering in technocracy. And this is exactly what's going on. So of course they're going to use emergencies. They have been using emergencies. How many executive orders has Trump signed? Trump signed an executive order for the creation of a sovereign wealth fund. Sovereign wealth funds are things that dictators do and things that monarchs do. The idea that you would give the executive branch of the United States this much control over investing national resources is fundamentally anti-American. Yet, Trump has signed an executive order, and the United States has now started making investments in companies. The United States owns 10% of Intel. There is Lithium Americas and more companies on down the list. That is fundamentally anti-American. It's certainly anti-free markets, and people are cheering it on. And it's part of this whole consolidation of power. So the problem that you have is that you have a lot of people that are conservatives, people that are libertarian leaning, that are actually cheering on this unconstitutional aggregation of power at the executive branch because they think it's going to lead to the restoration of the Constitution. And it's absolutely not, as evidenced by what's going on with digital IDs, what's going on with stable coins, which are backdoor CBDCs, what's going on with AI surveillance with Palantir. I mean, we're clearly not moving in any way, shape, or form towards restoring the Constitution. We are on a fast track to technocracy. We're on a fast track to Agenda 2030, except it's going to happen in 2028 with a slightly different group of people than people originally surmised.
You think that this is accelerating. How do you think it's going to play out? Is it going to be Trump? Will there be an emergency? Will there be an economic disaster? The economy crashes. We have another pandemic. What is going to be the false flag, or maybe the real flag? Maybe they don't even do false flags anymore. But what's going to be the impetus for them to push this through?
I have no idea. I have no idea, but I think it would have to be something somewhat cyber related, or something that would in a state of fear cause people to willingly accept digital IDs. I think that this recent digital ID with Mexico, the 17 other countries, the UK, I think something clearly is in the works. And I think it's sooner rather than later, to be honest. And so
running out of time.
So we're absolutely running out of time, but I can't be clearer about this. Technocracy is absolutely flourishing. And the problem is there's no resistance. The medical freedom movement, which should be first and foremost rabidly opposed to AI healthcare, rabidly opposed to Palantir's involvement in the building of these genetic databases, radically opposed to Larry Ellison and Operation Stargate, they're nowhere to be found because they're fumbling around on these issues from 5 years ago. So this is a serious problem. There's no opposition. There's no real organized opposition to this. The people that would normally be opposed to what's going on are actually supporting it unknowingly, I think, in most cases.
Yeah, I think that, to your point, libertarians are anesthetized by hope. I also think conservative constitutionalists and Christian Republicans are also anesthetized by hope. They are literally believing that Trump is the savior, that he's going to save us, trust the plan, 12-dimensional chess. And the reason I use the Scott Bessent clip there, I do think, I agree with you, it will be digital in nature, but I think it is an economic catastrophe. And Scott Bessent, interestingly enough, and this is how duped and confused the American right is today. Scott Bessent has been a longtime associate, and some would say right-hand man of George Soros. They have worked together for over 2 decades. In fact, Scott Bessent, the very villainous comic book character looking guy that we just played the clip of, the Secretary of the Treasury of the US, was actually George Soros's key collaborator in the collapsing of the British pound in 1992. So it was Scott Bessent and George Soros who bet against the people of Great Britain and who activated to collapse. They made, I believe, $1 billion on that transaction because, as you know, Aaron, technocrats, oligarchs, and global billionaires do not know boundaries or borders. They do not have allegiance to nations. They have allegiance to each other. And I find it astonishing that Glenn Beck, Steve Bannon, folks over at The Blaze, in the Daily Wire, Fox News, people who have been talking about George Soros for decades as the evil mastermind of the globe, do not draw that line and that parallel to the fact that George Soros has his own guy in the office of the Treasury making these moves. And the question is, I could see them collapsing the dollar. I could see them doing it on purpose. I could see. And then when you take into account the crazy tariff policies, right? When you see it's like one atom bomb after another that they are dropping on the American economy with the profligate spending and the tariffs. It's one industry after another. And then you see the pump and dump schemes, and you see them pumping up a certain industry using tariff language and then cashing in on the insider information. It almost gives me, it gives the appearance of they look to be trying to collapse the system on purpose. Your thoughts on that?
It's absolutely a controlled demolition. Although I will say I can't say that Soros crashing the pound is necessarily a bad idea. I ran for president on the idea of a bank run because fiat currency is the source of global problems. The idea of issuing a currency based on debt is a horrible idea that's never worked. Now, of course, Soros's motivations weren't good, but you don't put that kind of person in a position in government, right? That's the kind of position I would expect from somebody that is
hostile,
hostile to the state. So it's clearly we have a Treasury Secretary that's hostile to the state. But when you dig into this more, when you dig into Bessent, when you dig into Lutnick, what you find is it is a controlled demolition, but they are also actively working behind the scenes on tokenizing all of our assets, including our national assets, and profiting off of the tokenization and sale of our national assets. Now, we talk a lot about the fact that the U.S. has $37 trillion worth of debt, which is horrible. But what we don't talk about is the fact that we have $100 to $200 trillion worth of assets. So you actually have to, if you're going to look at whether you're insolvent or not, you have to look at the assets and you have to look at the liabilities. And what they're actively doing with Lutnick and Trump and Bessent is figuring out a way to start tokenizing those. I personally believe that a sovereign wealth fund based on the tokenization of U.S. national assets will be used as the basis for UBI. So I think that as we're moving towards this system, now, by the way, there's going to be an economic collapse because there has to be an economic collapse. We have Ponzi entitlements. We have half of the country is dependent upon the government for healthcare. We have all of this debt. Every asset is in a bubble. Again, the bill is coming due. We just have to recognize that what we thought was, normal in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s was a level in a Ponzi scheme. This thing has been structurally flawed for a long time. But yes, they are controlling when, or they are endeavoring to control when it collapses. And lo and behold, they've already got the system. What's the system? Centrally tokenized assets. They're rolling out the system as we speak. And the thing that people need to understand is they're not going to, a lot of people have this conception that 2030 is when the digital tyranny begins. No, all of the things will be in place by 2030. This is why you're seeing digital IDs being rolled out now. You're seeing programmable digital currencies being rolled out now. You can't wait until 2030 to start fighting. You have to actually exit the system immediately. There is absolutely no time left to exit these systems. Zero time. And if anything, I when I wrote my book, The Final Countdown, and I was warning people about CBDCs, people thought, originally when the book was published, wow, this seems a little out there. And it turns out I wasn't pessimistic enough about the rate at which technocracy was growing. If I go back and read the book now, it's like, oh yeah, that's already happened. This has already happened. This happened worse than I thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
So,
well, this is where,
yeah.
No, go ahead. Go finish your thought.
Well, I was going to say, I'm no longer warning people about what is going to happen. I'm actually describing what's already happened. I'm describing this is what Palantir already did. This is what Real ID did. This is what the Genius Act means that's already been signed into law. This is no longer about a warning. This is about just describing.
Yeah. I'm interested in the granular aspect of the things that you're describing here, because we're talking kind of in abstract, even though these things are happening. And I will say, Aaron, the only area that I disagree with you slightly, I think that these systems, their AI, their digital gulag, the geofencing, the collection, the surveillance, all of the things, I think that all of it is much clunkier and crappier than we believe it is and that they would like us to believe that it is, right? So I think, to your point, you're right. You're saying we are running out of time. But I would also say, to your point, they are running out of time. They've set up a Ponzi. They are hyping it up. So when you look at all of the reporting that is just broken out on the circular nature of the tech stocks that are driving all of the gains that we've seen in the past 5 years. In fact, they're responsible for 35% of the gains that we see in Wall Street. NVIDIA, OpenAI, Intel, the Magnificent Seven. People are beginning to realize that there's no there. Companies aren't making money on AI. Companies aren't using AI. It is not only not efficient and not helpful, it's actually causing companies more problems and more trouble because they're having to go back and fix the crap that the AI is pushing out. They're also not uptaking it. There's no money being made. So I would say to you, they are in a pickle. All right, we're in a pickle too, but we have a lot more power than we think we have. And this idea of inevitability, that we're all going to live in some like techno dream world and we're all going to be on, the robots are going to do everything. I think it's actually ridiculous. And I think that what we're seeing right now, this is just my opinion, is a race. Like, they don't want enough Americans to wake up to this. And that's why, to your point, instead of implementing in 2030, they're trying to move it up into 2027, 2028, because they know that the wheels are falling off the jalopy. They can't keep this charade going and that the chickens are going to come home to roost. And then there will be, what I believe, hopefully, a moment of freedom if enough people. Now, I agree with you. Exit and build. Get out of the systems, as many as possible. But I will tell you, Aaron, just to survive, just to live today, like, I have to use Google. I have to use technology, my camera, my Mac, my phone. There are certain things that you just can't get out of. So I would want to ask you, like, what are the things that people can control? I mean, do you think that my analysis is way off base? You agree or disagree? And then, for the thousands and thousands of people who are watching and listening to the Shannon Joy Show, they're just regular people, Aaron. They just want to know what to do. Like, how do they keep their privacy safe? How do they survive this nightmare scenario? Because that's the goal here on the Shannon Joy Show, is to survive and stay alive, right? And then how do we thrive as well? Because the one thing that I do lean on is 5,000 years of human history. And in 5,000 years of human history, there are always new technologies. And everyone always thinks that technology is going to be the technology that ushers in the singularity and all of the bad things and dystopia and destruction and all the things. And there are a lot of problems, but usually what happens is that people take the things about the technology that work for them, they omit the rest, and then we have a reset. And human flourishing can continue to happen, which is what I hope happens. I'm not hoping for dystopia, but your thoughts in kind of how I see the an umbrella analysis of what you're discussing here, if you agree, disagree, and then again, those real practical things that people can do to omit themselves or pull themselves out of the system. Go.
Sure. Well, I mean, I do disagree on the AI front, and I actually have an NVIDIA supercomputer on my desk. It's only like this big, and it's one of the new models. And I also have a whole bunch of stuff, and I've been using AI, and I've actually spent a lot of time with Mike Adams, Health Ranger, who has built his own AI. He spent $2 million of his own dollars over the last few years building. It was called Enoch, but it's really Brighteon AI. And he's given it away for free. This is an AI you can download for your computer. And so there are a lot of people saying, oh, it's hype, it's a bubble. I will tell you that I've probably increased my productivity by 100x. And by the end of the year, you're going to see a whole bunch of stuff that I'm rolling out that literally I did all by myself using AI. Now, where people get confused about AI is if your assumption is I'm typing something.
On the other hand, just to challenge you, I bought an AI system and I try to use it, and I just think it's a waste of time. I don't think it's very good. I see people using AI and I'm like, I can spot your AI like a mile away. It's clunky. I don't find it to be interesting. And so I'm just not into it. So I don't use it. And I don't see myself using it.
Well, I mean, I think it's like you said, people, while you still use Google, you still use a camera. I think that people, again, AI can be used to dramatically expand your productivity. It all depends on the AI and what the application is, but it can actually help you think. It can actually help you grow and develop, or it can be a surveillance system. This is why, just like with crypto, I think privacy coins are a superior form of money that we have right now, whereas CBDCs are the reverse part of that. So, but the impacts of productivity, people said that about the dot-com boom. Like, people will look back and say, oh, well, this is like the dot-com boom. I'm sorry, the dot-com boom produced Amazon. The dot-com boom produced, everybody uses these things now, and people look back at it and say, well, that was a boom and bust.
Everyone's going to use AI. I think that, there are applications for AI and some people really like them. And I think they're highly limited, highly. And here's the other thing, Aaron, the databases are already getting an enormous amount of pushback. People are freaked out about these massive databases in their backyard. I've reported on a bunch of communities that are basically like, screw you, Mark Zuckerberg, go find another place to put your data center. And I can see personally people moving into more natural, more organic. I think that all the tech stuff is freaking people out. Like, we want a little bit of it, but we don't want that much. And I don't want to spend that much time on it. Now, I know that techie people don't like that because you guys enjoy it. But I think that the majority of regular organic humans aren't really that into it. We'll use it a little bit, but I don't see it as the wave of the future.
I mean, I think the problem with this is that if there are people that are using it and they're increasing their productivity by 1,000x, then the people that aren't using it are going to feel the effects of that. I think that's an inevitability.
I know, but I look at people like Elon Musk and the guy who wants to prolong his life forever by all the technology, and they look like corpses. I mean, the people who are using tech every day and on screens and in virtual reality and using AI don't look like healthy people to me. So they might think they're thriving because they have a couple extra Bitcoins in the bank. But I don't think that the majority of and I'm just, mankind is like, oh, yay, that's what I want to do. I want to be in tech all day long, every day. I think people want to be outside, touching the grass, looking at the sky, getting married, falling in love, having children, having grandchildren, going to birthday party, they want to live. They want to live, not be in this simulation,
Again, I think the technology as it's evolving, because I use these systems and I've been in tech. I mean, I started my first tech company when I was 19. I have actually never seen a technology evolve this rapidly. And even within the last 90 days, as an example, there was this video that was surfacing about the first iteration of video models where it shows Will Smith eating a plate of spaghetti. And I remember at the time, I mean, it's horrible. It's like, it's all choppy. He's got spaghetti coming out of his face. It's clearly fake. And then they just showed the most recent model. And this was like only an 18-month span of time. So the learning that's happening. So we can say, well, these things are inaccurate, but they're learning. The whole point is you train the systems, and the systems get more efficient and more accurate over time. My whole point in this is,
Right.
Well, I mean, look, the reality is the robots are real, and you can look at a whole variety of these things, and they're interacting with the AI. So AI is inevitable. The question is AI going to be used to extend our free will, or is it going to be used to enslave us? And so avoiding it isn't going to be a really good option, because if we don't deal with this head on, I've been arguing, and I've actually launched something on the Aaron Day Show website called the First Principles Project. And my argument here that is America 1.0 is done. It has been for a long time. I mean, if you look at the Constitution, we don't have any of the constitutional rights. It's a joke. So a lot of people think America is what it was at the founding. It hasn't been that your entire life. You're just not looking at what's actually happened. So here's the thing. There is going to be a collapse. What's going to replace it? We need something to replace it. And it's not going to be restoring the Constitution. I've spent a lot of time studying this. There aren't any examples in history of where a nation or an empire has gotten to this point where it's been a turnaround. It will be a start over. Now, you may start with constitutional principles, but you're not going to fix the existing structure. And there's no example of this. And I actually encourage anyone to show me one example in the history of recorded human history of where that's actually taken place. Yeah. I also will say that we should examine from first principles whether the founders had it completely right. Maybe they had some things right, maybe they didn't. It's been 250 years. I think the idea that what they had was perfect and shouldn't be revisited would be counter to even their own thinking. And so, but we're not spending time on that. We're spending time on either survival strategies or aiding and abetting technocracy. And this is the problem.
We do need to be building up an infrastructure. So this is where you and I will agree 100%. Yes, we have to survive. So we have to live, we have to survive, spit yourself out of the system. For me, I spend as little time on technology as humanly possible, only what I need to spend on technology. But also bottom up local organization, building up parallel systems, parallel currencies. I like more rather than fewer. And I think, an infrastructure at the local level to govern in case our government falls apart, which I think that we have to really consider is going to happen. And I think more and more Americans are waking up to that. So that's where you and I will agree, that's where we will agree. I think that we need to reestablish our Constitution. And if there are tweaks in that, we have the governing documents. Maybe we should just start obeying it and actually doing, the things that they say. And, that would make things, I think, a heck of a lot better here.
But that didn't work. So something went wrong in that process.
They never work. They never work, Aaron.
So whether
there's never a utopia. There's never a utopia.
But what we have is so far removed from the Constitution right now that but the idea that we shouldn't question it from first principles and we should just go back to something. We should have a big, this is what I'm trying to do with this principles project. We should have a big open debate and discussion about it, just like the founders had at the founding, a discussion about what this new country should look like from first principles. We need to do that. And we need to have that, in my opinion, in an open way. But if we don't do that and we don't actually have an alternative, there isn't things are going to go back to the way that they used to be. That's not on the table. So I think a lot of people are thinking it's going to go back to the way that it was. And you can't do that when you have 50% of the, healthcare paid for by the government, all of these Ponzi schemes, a 16 million word tax code. I mean, so it doesn't revert. There's not a mechanism for even making it revert.
I think it's going to be less jarring than that. I think people are slowly going to lose confidence in the federal government. The government is continuing to beclown itself. People are going to stop obeying the federal government. The states are going to stop obeying the federal government. And I think that local banks, local organizations, local people are just going to say, you guys don't know what you're doing. So we're going to use technology in a way that we want, decentralized, like no centralized, constitutional convention, because we know how that always works out. Just it always leads to a bigger power structure. And I think we should just let the laboratories of democracy and the Constitution figure this stuff out. I mean, that's where I would like to see things go. We'll see what happens. But I appreciate all of your work, and I appreciate, your sentiment, and I agree with you. things are not going to go back to the way that they were, but we can actually work to flourish human dignity and liberty and freedom for at least the next 50 years. And then whatever structure that we build will get completely corrupted, because that's what happens. Every 100 years, whatever you build to solve the problem of the past 100 years gets completely corrupted. There's no utopia. There's no silver bullet. There is no such thing as heaven on earth. We just have to do the best with what we have. And that is my position here on this. Anyone trying to build a utopia is not going to be able to do it.
I guess what I would say is that we have to, whatever is going on at the local level is not happening nearly as quickly as technocracy is flourishing. And I'll give you an example of where these things are being implemented and people have no idea. Just like you said, you got a real ID and didn't even know that you got a real ID. Well, let's talk about AI in healthcare. Currently, United Healthcare is using an AI called NH Predict for claims, and they deny 90% of claims. Cigna has a system called PXDX, 300,000 denials in 2 months. The processing time for these claims and the rejection is 0.2 seconds. 0.2 seconds. So this is already happening today. This isn't something that might happen in the future if X, Y, or Z happening. This is something that's already happening to you today. So we have to, I don't know how to get a bigger sense of urgency, but people have to say no. They have to stop asking for permission or forgiveness. I mean, at this point, I think it's pretty well documented that public health has been trying to actively kill us or hurt us at the best. And I did a podcast yesterday. It's like 4 hours long, but I went through the whole history of medicine for over the last 2,500 years. In part, hold on. Based on this, there's a 4-part series of books that the Brownstone Institute put out called The Divided Legacy. This is like, books that the publisher didn't even want to publish it anymore. It was so controversial. Wow. This goes through the entire history. This is just one of the volumes. I'm not, not saying go out and necessarily read all of it, but I've read this and I've analyzed this, and this will show you that the fundamental battle that we have right now is between empiricism and kind of this rational side, one where humans are first, free will is first, and our body can heal itself with support, and the other that treats us like a machine. This argument goes back 2,500 years, and it's at the very heart of technocracy and this intersection of AI and healthcare. So these are big ongoing multi-century debates that are going on about the nature of man and as it relates to all things, including healthcare.
Yes. And I agree with you. But listen, nothing new under the sun. The debates that we're having today are no different than the debates we had 100 years ago, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago. And I know this from reading the Bible over and over multiple times. Like, it's the same story over and over. And I agree. We're going to use some of the new technology and we can use that for human flourishing. Or, we'll descend into full dystopia, and, that's not really what we want to happen. But I appreciate all of your work, and I agree with you. There should be some urgency. People should be paying attention to this, and I do need to get to the DMV and make sure that I get rid of my digital ID, and also exiting the system. This is why I'm very cognizant about health supplements, staying out of the medical industrial complex, not relying on health insurance, saving up enough cash, gold, and silver so that if we need to take care of our health needs, then we're all set. And so I think it's exit and build, parallel systems as much as you can. And Aaron, you do a great job. How can people support you? We've gone way long today. How can people support you, find all of your work, and tell them just very quickly about tomorrow? We have the Technocracy Roundtable coming up. And that's going to be a great discussion. Patrick Wood, Courtney Turner, and yourself, among others. How can people find you, support you, and join the roundtable tomorrow?
You can find me at daylightfreedom.org, and that links to the other, 4 initiatives that we're working on in these various areas. But that's kind of the launch point for everything. Okay. And you can find me on X at Aaron R. Day. And again, I'll be announcing a whole bunch of things at November 1st that we're rolling out, initiatives that we've been working on to accelerate and help people connect and exit the system. Because, obviously a lot of what we talk about is kind of this doom material, but it is now 100% time for action. So we've put together some programs to help with that. As to the Technocracy Roundtable, Courtney Turner is hosting it primarily. So it'll be on her social media channels and on X. She's at Courtenay Turner. That's
Okay.
how you spell it. And then you're also live streaming it, right? So so people
I
can
sure
actually
am.
visit. So you can visit Shannon's channel as well, and hopefully it'll be, if it's not streamed live on my channel, I certainly will be retweeting it as well. We want to get this out to as many people as possible because it is this whole intersection of AI and healthcare. And I think everybody will want to tune in and see all of the different perspectives of the panelists on this, because it's a big wake-up call. And again, as someone who follows technocracy all the time, I've been stunned. I've been shocked by what's going on with digital IDs and AI in healthcare. So you're going to want to stay tuned for this for sure.
Yeah, it's a huge topic, and it is urgent. The bad guys have control of the mechanisms of technological advancements, and that's not good. We want that completely diversified and broken up, decentralized, and that's what I love about what you do, Aaron, is that if there is an AI that I want to use, if there is a technological device that I would like to deploy, I'm going to need you to kind of tell me which way to go. And there's just going to be a lot happening in the next 6 to 8 months. So we're going to keep in touch with you and make sure we can get this audience as much good information about what's going on as humanly possible. So thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate your perspective.
Yep. Thank you for having me. Talk to you soon.
Awesome. All right. Tomorrow, it is the Technocracy Roundtable right here on the SJ Network. We'll be broadcasting that live at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Aaron Day featured along with Courtney Turner and Patrick Wood, among others. Thank you guys so much for being with us today here in the Shannon Joy Show. We could not bring the show to you without our sponsors. So if you have heard from our sponsors over at RocketDollar, the satellite phone store, that's sat123.com/joy for that extra 10% off, use the promo code JOY. Our friends over at PCMPolano.com, just amazing sponsors, amazing live chatters. I see all of you on the live chat, and yeah, big topic, but we have to address it because it's moving very quickly. And I agree with Aaron when he says there should be some urgency here. So I see you, in Texas. Yeah, get that. In Texas, they don't even let Texans opt out of a digital ID. You guys should rally together and go get after Governor Abbott and make him repeal any of those requirements. Yeah, Zoe Joey 123, Shannon, turn in your real ID soon. Seriously. Again, I tried to. I made a very diligent effort to trade in my real ID. Like I mentioned, you can't get, to a human being in New York State in the DMV. So yeah, I'll be heading over there at some point to get my good old fashioned. And then at some point, there's just there's only so much that you can do. So then you just trust in Jesus. That's what I do. Right? Like there's so much that is out of our control. There is so much conflicting information out there. The news cycle moves at such a relentless pace that even someone like me, I feel like I have the best experts, including Aaron Day, in the world on every topic: health, finance, economics, technology, geopolitics, you name it. We bring them in. But I myself have a hard time grasping all of this and figuring out what is actually going on. So I can't imagine how hard it is for so many of you who are just trying to raise your families, pursue your livelihoods and your happiness, and just survive in today's society. So right now we are in extraordinary times. I do believe that things will settle out, but we're in for it, I think, for the next couple of years. So let's all stick together. I will be with you, white knuckled on this roller coaster all along the way, trusting in Jesus Christ the entire time, because honestly, at the end of the day, that's all I got for you. What are the solutions, Shannon? Jesus. There we go. And yes, omit yourself. There is a lot of doom and gloom out there. You have to laugh. You have to live, get outside, get into nature, get off of the screens, and spend time with family, because that is the ultimate antidote to all of this. And the more time that we can do that, the better we'll be able to survive what are truly some dark times. Okay. And Mark the Regan, yes, I am continuing to work on Whitney Webb, but I tell you, she's elusive. I'm going to try to get her on. I'll continue to work on it. You guys know I'm relentless when it comes to getting guests, and appreciate all of you. So Be My Valentine, thank you for being with us today. Futurez, thank you for all of your contributions. Ralph the Flying Dutchman, yep, you're great. Don't frag me, bro. Good to see you all. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all again right here on the Shannon Joy Show.